Hi guys, welcome back to Linside 201. Today we are going to begin a new set. We are going to talk about psycholinguistics. Specifically, we are going to talk about language acquisition. And in today's lecture, we are going to talk about a very important hypothesis, which called critical period hypothesis. Okay, this is a very important is a well-assumed hypothesis in language acquisition. Okay, this hypothesis is proposed by Eric Lenneberg, who is a neurologist. His assumption on language acquisition is this: language capacity can be explained on the basis of biological properties, and he proposed critical period hypothesis, which is that there exists a developmental period between infancy and puberty, during which a child can acquire language with fluency of a native speaker. Okay, so in other words, there is a specific period of time in which a child will learn his first language. Okay, and here are some property of the critical period. It occurs early in development. Okay, and the period of time is brief. And this is the period of time we have the peak plasticity in our brain. In other words, everything in our brain is much more flexible. Yeah, so we can learn new stuff easily. Okay, and there is a abrupt end of this period of time, and the deprivation of language input during this of time has a permanent, irreversible effects. Okay, so actually, this point will be very important to test this hypothesis. We can think about what prediction would this critical period hypothesis make. Okay, so it predicts that if there is a child who cannot have language input during this period of time, then this unfortunate child will not have any language at all, no matter how hard he tries, right? So there are several case studies which can support critical period hypothesis. Of course, we cannot really conduct any experiment to test this hypothesis, right? We cannot isolate a child intentionally. No, this is not the right way. Okay, but there are just some unfortunate cases that we can study and which accidentally support this hypothesis. So we are going to talk about these three cases one by one. Okay, the first case is Victor. Okay, Victor is found in 1797 in France, and when he was found, he is estimated to be about 12 years old, because we cannot know his real age at that time. Okay, and he has no speech. He has a unusual food preferences, and with many scars on his skin. And then at that time, there's an idea that the ability to learn language distinguishes a man from animal. Okay, yeah, and Victor is an test case for this idea. Okay, and when he was found, a physician adopted him, and this physician tried to teach him um, empathy and language. But Victor learned little language, yeah, and he has some signs of autism. Okay. Okay. So actually, Victor's case supports the critical period hypothesis because he has no language input during his critical period, and he has no language. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the second case, which is about Jeannie. Okay, you can click on this link to see a very nice documentary video of Jeannie. Okay, when Jeannie was found, she was 13 years old. Okay, and this is very interesting in the sense that when Jeannie was found, it was the period of time when the critical period hypothesis was dominant. So naturally, her case became a test case for the hypothesis. And one of our textbook authors, Victoria Franklin, um, is the head of the research team to do research on Jeannie. Okay. And there are some interesting development of Jeannie's language. Okay. Her language learning was not even. Okay, what do we mean by not even? Okay. So her phonology is okay. And there are some, after some training, her phonology is okay. She can produce every English sounds. Okay. Um, about the morphology and semantic development, this is kind of interesting. Okay. Her production and comprehension of words increased rapidly. So at a period of time, she is in her developing stage of two-word stage. Okay, two-word stage means that in each utterance, a child only produce two words, okay, or two morphemes. However, she had a very large uh, lexicon, large vocabulary in her head already. So actually, this is relevant as well. So normally for kids in his or her two-word stage, they are only mastering for about 50 words, but Jeannie already have 200 words. Okay, and for Jeannie's syntax, okay, she has no functional elements. We learn about what is function words and content words in morphology, right? So she has a very telegraphic speech. Just left out all the function words. Okay. Yeah, and she is able to master 200 words. Okay. And she's able to have some complex constructions as well, relative clauses. Okay. So actually, Jeannie's case just partially support the critical period hypothesis. Jeannie can still have some language. Okay, now is the final case study. We have Isabella. Okay, she was discovered living in a darkened the room with her deaf mute mother as her only contact. And she had been deprived of learning how to speak because her mother cannot speak. She is both deaf and mute. Okay, and when she was found, she was 6 years old. Jeannie was found at age 13. Okay, and when Isabella is found, she had no language, and her cognitive development was below that of a normal 2 year old. Okay. However, after some training, within 1 to 2 years of rehabilitation, she is fully recovered. She learned to speak at a level of her 7-year-old peers. Okay, and her IQ test was normal. Okay, so here are some questions about the critical period hypothesis. Okay, why did Victor and Jeannie not progress to full knowledge of language while Isabella did? Okay, um, the best guess is that because Isabella was found at 6, which is much younger than Victor and Jeannie, right? So we can say that maybe when Isabella was found, her critical period was not ended yet. However, for Victor and Jeannie, it was too late. Okay, there is a very plausible relevant factor as well. When Victor and Jeannie was found, before Victor and Jeannie was found, they are alone by themselves. They do not have any company. On the other hand, Isabella has a constant contact, which is her mother. Okay, so we can think about that language needs companies. Okay, so when Isabella tried to communicate with her mother, they have some special gesture system. And actually, this gesture system may help her to understand and learn that the relationship between object and symbol, and which is critical for language acquisition. Okay. So in today's lecture, we learned about the concept of critical period, and we talk about 3 cases. Okay. Thank you and see you next time. Remember to do the in-class exercise.